Please, somebody help me. Nenah's whisper barely escaped her split lips as her father's hand wrapped around her throat. Her vision blurred not from tears but from lack of oxygen. Margaret's diamond ring had already torn her cheek open. Lily's wine glass had shattered against her temple. Blood pooled in her left eye. This wasn't discipline. This was murder. Her phone, the one thing they hadn't found yet, buzzed against her hip. She knew who it was, the only person in the world who had ever asked if she was okay. With her last conscious breath, she managed to dial. Sir, can you come get me? I'm dying. Before we continue, subscribe and follow this story to the end. Comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far my story has traveled. The night had started with a lie. Smile, Nenah. We have guests. Margaret's whisper was poison sweet as she adjusted Nenah's collar, her fingers deliberately pressing into the bruise from yesterday, the one shaped like Richard's thumb. Nenah kept her face blank. After 25 years, she'd mastered the art of disappearing while standing right in front of them. The invisible daughter. The family secret hidden in plain sight. Yes, Mrs. Sterling. And for God's sake, don't speak unless spoken to. The Vanderbilts don't need to know about our charity case. Charity case, that's what Margaret called her when she was feeling generous. When she wasn't feeling generous, the names got worse. Nenah lifted the silver tray of champagne flutes and walked into the ballroom. The Sterling estate was showing off tonight, crystal chandeliers throwing rainbow light across marble floors, a string quartet playing Vivaldi in the corner, 200 of Connecticut's elite pretending to care about whatever cause Richard was sponsoring this month. Nobody looked at the help. Nobody ever did. Champagne, sir? No, thank you. Ma'am, how thoughtful. Nenah moved through the crowd like a ghost. She'd served at 100 of these parties. She knew the routine. Smile politely. Keep your eyes down. Pretend you don't hear them talking about you when they think you've walked away. Is that Richard's? Yes, the illegitimate one. I heard her mother was the housekeeper. Maid, actually. Can you imagine? And he keeps her here? How progressive. Their laughter followed her to the kitchen. Maria, the actual housekeeper, gave her a sympathetic look. You okay, mija? Fine. You're bleeding. Nenah touched her neck where Margaret's nail had scratched her earlier. It's nothing. It's not nothing. I need to get back out there. Nenah grabbed another tray. Before she notices, I'm gone. But Margaret had already noticed Shimaz. She was waiting in the hallway, her smile bright for any guests who might pass by. The moment they were alone, the smile vanished. You took 6 minutes. The kitchen is 3 minutes away. Where were you? I had to refill the trier. The slap caught Nenah across the mouth, not hard enough to leave a mark that would show. Margaret had practice. Don't lie to me. I'm not. You were on your phone. I saw you. Nenah's heart jumped. She had checked her phone. Just for a second, just to see if Victor had texted. I'm sorry, Mrs. Sterling. It won't happen again. You're right, it won't. Margaret's hand shot out and grabbed Nenah's wrist, twisting until bone ground against bone. Because you're going to give me your phone right now. Please, I need it for what? For your secret little life you think we don't know about. Margaret's eyes glittered. You think Richard doesn't have you followed. You think we don't know about your job, about Victor Hale. The world tilted. They knew. I work for him, Nenah said carefully. It's legitimate employment. Legitimate, Margaret laughed. A man like Victor Hale doesn't hire girls like you for legitimate reasons. Heat flooded Nenah's face. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Explain to me why a billionaire real estate mogul needs a maid's daughter as his personal assistant. Because I'm good at my job. You're good at something, I'm sure. Margaret released her wrist and smoothed her dress. But we'll discuss this later. Right now, you have guests to serve. And Nenah, if I see you touch that phone again tonight, I'll make sure you regret it. She glided back into the ballroom, leaving Nenah shaking in the hallway. Her phone buzzed. Nenah pulled it out with trembling hands. 3 texts from Victor meeting ran late. Should be done by 9. Want me to pick you up from the estate, Nenah? She typed quickly. Can't talk now. At father's event. His response was immediate. You okay? No, she wasn't okay. She was never okay here. But she typed, fine, talk tomorrow. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Call me if you need anything, I mean it. Nenah deleted the messages and slipped the phone back into her pocket. She had to get through tonight, just a few more hours. Then she could leave, go back to her tiny apartment that Victor had helped her rent 3 months ago, and breathe. Just a few more hours. Nenah, Lily's voice cut through her thoughts. Nenah's half-sister stood at the top of the grand staircase in a dress that cost more than Nenah made in 6 months. Her smile was all teeth. Come here, now. Nenah climbed the stairs, her stomach nodding. Lily never called for her unless she wanted an audience for her cruelty. Sure enough, 3 of Lily's friends stood behind her, all of them dressed in designer gowns, all of them looking at Nenah like she was something they'd scraped off their shoes. My friends were just asking about you, Lily said sweetly. I was telling them how generous our family is, taking you in after your mother died, giving you a home, an education, everything you could possibly need. The lie was so smooth, Nenah almost believed it herself. She'd gotten no education beyond high school, no home, just a room smaller than Lily's closet, no family, just 3 people who reminded her daily that she didn't belong. Your mother worked here, didn't she? One of the friends asked. As a maid. Yes. How sweet that you're following in her footsteps. They all laughed. Nina's jaw clenched. Will there be anything else, Miss Sterling? Actually, yes. Lily's smile widened. We need more champagne. And do try not to spill it this time. These dresses are Dior. Nenah turned to go. Oh, and Nenah, Lily called after her. That's a lovely bruise on your neck. You should really be more careful. More laughter. Nenah made it back to the kitchen before the tears came. She pressed her palms against the counter, breathing hard, trying to hold it together. Mija, I'm fine, Maria. You're not fine. Nobody in this house treats you fine. I just need a minute. But she didn't get a minute. Richard appeared in the kitchen doorway, his face already red from too much scotch and too little patience. We need to talk. Maria immediately busied herself with dishes, her shoulders tense. She knew better than to get involved. Yes, sir. Richard grabbed Nenah's arm and pulled her into the pantry, slamming the door behind them. The small space suddenly felt suffocating. Margaret told me about your phone conversation. I didn't have a conversation. Don't interrupt me. His fingers dug deeper into her arm. I want to know exactly what's going on between you and Victor Hale. Nothing, he's my employer. Your employer. Richard's laugh was ugly. Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I don't know what men like him want from girls like you? It's not like that. Then what is it like? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're whoring yourself out to a man old enough to be your father. The word hit Nenah like a physical blow. That's not true. No. Then why does he text you at night? Why does he want to pick you up from here? Why does he care where you are? Because he's a decent human being. The words exploded out of Nenah before she could stop them. Because he treats me like a person instead of trash. Because he pays me a real salary and says please and thank you and asks if I'm okay when I show up to work with bruises. Richard's face went white, then purple. What did you just say to me? Nenah's heart hammered. She'd gone too far. Way too far. I'm sorry, I didn't mean. You think I abuse you? Richard's voice dropped to a whisper, which was somehow worse than yelling. You think I'm the problem here? No, I took you in when your mother died. I gave you a home. I fed you, clothed. You kept a roof over your head for 20 years, and this is the thanks I get. I'm grateful. You're not grateful. You're entitled, just like your mother was. His grip shifted from her arm to her throat. Not squeezing, not yet, just holding. A warning. She thought she was special too, thought she deserved more than what she had, and look where that got her. Tears burned Nenah's eyes. Please let go. Please let go, he mimicked. You want me to let go, fine, I'll let go. And then you can pack your things and get out of my house. Get out of my house. What? You heard me. You're so ungrateful, so miserable here, then leave. Go live with your precious Victor Hale. See how long he keeps you around when he realizes you're not special. You're just easy. The words shredded something inside Nenah. You don't mean that. I've never meant anything more. Richard released her throat and stepped back. You have until morning. Pack your things and go. He left her standing in the pantry, gasping for air, her whole world crumbling. This was it. This was really it. Nenah's hands shook as she pulled out her phone. She needed to call Victor, needed to tell him what happened. Needed the phone was ripped from her hands. Margaret stood in the doorway, Lily beside her, both of them smiling. Going somewhere, Margaret asked. Richard said, Richard says a lot of things when he's had too much to drink. Margaret examined the phone, scrolling through messages. But we're not going to let you leave. Not yet. Not until we've had a chance to teach you some respect. Give me my phone. Or what? Lily stepped closer. You'll call your boyfriend. You'll run crying to the man who's using you. He's not using me. Of course he is. Men like Victor Hale don't save girls like you out of the goodness of their hearts. They save you because they want something. And once they get it, they throw you away. You don't know him. I know men. Margaret's smile was cruel. And I know you. You're desperate for attention, desperate to believe you're special, desperate to escape. Victor Hale saw that desperation, and he's exploiting it. That's not true, isn't it? Margaret held up the phone, showing Nenah her own text messages. Look at how you write to him. Yes, Mr. Hale. Of course, Mr. Hale. Whatever you need, Mr. Hale. You're pathetic. Nenah lunged for the phone. Margaret pulled it back and threw it to Lily, who caught it with a laugh. Give it back. Make us, Lily taunted. Nenah tried to grab it from Lily, but Margaret caught her by the hair and yanked her backward. Pain exploded across her scalp. You want your phone? Margaret hissed in her ear. You want to call for help? Fine. Let's give you something to call about. She shoved Nenah hard. Nenah stumbled, her hip cracking against the pantry shelf. Cans and boxes rained down around her. Pathetic, Margaret said again. Absolutely pathetic. Lily tossed the phone on the floor and stepped on it. The screen cracked under her heel. Oops. Nenah scrambled for it, but Margaret's foot came down on her hand. Bones crunched. Nenah screamed. Shh up, Margaret snapped. The guests will hear you. I don't care. You should care. Margaret crouched down, her face inches from Nenah's. Because if you make a scene, if you embarrass this family in front of our friends, I will make your life so much worse than it already is. Do you understand me? Nenah's hand was on fire. She could feel it swelling, could feel the bones grinding. Do you understand me? Margaret repeated. Yes. Yes, what? Yes, Mrs. Sterling. Good girl. Margaret stood and smoothed her dress. Now clean up this mess, and then get back to serving. We have guests. They left her there, broken and bleeding on the pantry floor. Nenah pulled her hand to her chest, cradling it. The phone screen was shattered, but maybe it still worked. Maybe she could. It was dead. Completely dead. Nenah closed her eyes and let the tears come. She was alone. Completely alone. Victor didn't know where she was. Maria was too scared to help. The guests upstairs didn't care. She was trapped. For the first time in her life, Nenah understood what her mother must have felt. The hopelessness, the fear, the crushing weight of knowing that no matter what you did, no matter how hard you tried, you'd never be free. But then she remembered something Victor had told her last week after she'd shown up to work with fingerprint bruises on her arm. You're stronger than you think, Nenah, and when you're ready to leave, I'll help you. All you have to do is ask. She'd laughed it off at the time, told him she was fine, told him the bruises were from moving furniture. But he'd known, he'd seen through the lie. I'm serious, he'd said, his voice gentle but firm. I have resources, lawyers, security, a place for you to stay. Whenever you're ready, just say the word. Nenah pushed herself up with her good hand. Her body screamed in protest, but she ignored it. She couldn't use her phone, but there was a landline in Richard's study. If she could just get there without anyone seeing her, if she could just make one call. She stumbled out of the pantry, keeping to the shadows. The party was still going strong upstairs. Nobody noticed her slipping down the hallway. Richard's study was unlocked. Nenah closed the door behind her and locked it. Her hands shook as she picked up the phone and dialed the number she'd memorized months ago. It rang once, twice, 3 times. This is Victor Hale. Nenah's voice broke. Sir, can you come get me? Silence. Then where are you? My father's estate, but I can't. They broke my phone and my hand and they said I can't leave. And slow down. Are you safe right now? I'm in the study. I locked the door, but if they find me, they won't. I'm coming right now, 20 minutes. Can you stay hidden for 20 minutes? I think so. Good. Nenah, listen to me. I need you to stay on the phone with me until I get there, okay? Okay. Are you hurt? My hand. Margaret stepped on it. I think it's broken. She heard him curse under his breath. Anything else? Bruises, cuts, nothing new. Nothing new. His voice went cold. How long has this been going on? Since my mother died, 20 years. Another curse. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was scared you'd fire me. I was scared you'd think I was broken or damaged or Nenah. His voice cut through her spiral. I would never think that, ever. You understand me? Yes, sir. Stop calling me sir. My name is Victor. Yes, mister. Victor? Yes, Victor. Better. She could hear him moving, could hear car doors slamming. I'm getting in my car now. Stay with me. Tell me what happened tonight. So she did. She told him everything. About the party, about Lily's friends, about Richard's threat to kick her out, about Margaret breaking her phone and her hand. Victor didn't interrupt. He just listened, his breathing steady on the other end of the line, a lifeline in the dark. 18 minutes, he said when she finished. I'm 18 minutes away. They'll try to stop you. They can try. Victor, you don't understand. My father has connections, money. Nenah, I have more money than your father could dream of. I have better connections, better lawyers, better everything. He doesn't scare me. He scares me. I know, but after tonight, he'll never scare you again. I promise. The door handle rattled. Nenah's breath caught. Someone's trying to get in. Don't open it. What if don't open it? The rattling stopped. Then came Richard's voice. Nenah, open this door. She didn't answer. I know you're in there. I can see the light under the door. Open it now. Nenah, Victor's voice was calm in her ear. I'm 15 minutes away. Just hold on. Open this door or I'm breaking it down. 14 minutes. A crash, Richard's shoulder hitting the wood. The door shuddered but held. Another crash. 13 minutes. Talk to me, Nenah. Stay with me. I'm scared. I know, but you're not alone. Not anymore. Another crash, the door frame cracked. 12 minutes. He's going to break through. Let him. I'll be there before he can hurt you again. But Richard wasn't alone. Through the cracking door, Nenah could see Margaret and Lily, all three of them united in their rage. One more hit and the door would give. Victor, in 11 minutes, I'm speeding. I'll be there in 10. There's 3 of them. There's 100 of me. I'm not coming alone, Nenah. I'm bringing security. I'm bringing lawyers. I'm bringing a goddamn army if I have to. The door splintered. Richard's face appeared in the gap, purple with rage. You called him. You called that man into my house. 9 minutes, Victor said. Hold on, Nenah. Just hold on. Richard's arm reached through the gap, grasping for the lock. Nenah backed away, the phone pressed to her ear. 8 minutes. The lock clicked. The door swung open. Richard stood there, breathing hard, his eyes wild. Behind him, Margaret and Lily wore matching expressions of cold satisfaction. Give me the phone, Richard said. No. Give me the goddamn phone. He lunged. Nenah dodged, but she wasn't fast enough. His hand closed around her injured hand and squeezed. White-hot pain exploded up her arm. The phone clattered to the floor. 7 minutes, she heard Victor's voice say, tinny and distant. Nenah, Nenah. Richard crushed the phone under his heel. No one is coming to save you, he said. No one. But he was wrong, because 6.5 minutes later, the front door of the Sterling estate slammed open, and Victor Hale walked in like an avenging angel flanked by 4 men in black suits and a woman in a power suit carrying a briefcase. Where is she? His voice echoed through the foyer. The guests had gone silent. 200 people frozen watching. Margaret appeared at the top of the stairs, her composure finally cracking. You can't just barge in here. I can, and I did. Victor's eyes scanned the room until they found the study door. Nenah, no answer. He took the stairs 3 at a time, shoving past Margaret like she was made of paper. The study door was open. Inside, Nenah was curled on the floor. Her hand cradled to her chest, her face streaked with tears and blood. Richard stood over her, his fist still raised. Victor crossed the room in 2 strides and grabbed Richard by the throat, slamming him against the wall so hard the pictures rattled. If you ever, Victor said, his voice deadly quiet, touch her again, I will destroy you, your business, your reputation, your entire life. Do you understand me? Richard clawed at Victor's hand, gasping for air. Do you understand me? Victor repeated. Richard managed a nod. Victor released him and turned to Nenah, his face transformed from rage to tenderness in a heartbeat. Hey, he said softly, crouching beside her. I'm here. You're safe now. Nenah looked up at him through swollen eyes. You came. Of course I came. He carefully lifted her broken hand, examining it. We need to get you to a hospital. I can't. Yes, you can. You are leaving with me. Right now. But my things, I'll buy you new things, better things. He stood and scooped her into his arms like she weighed nothing. You're never coming back here. Never. Margaret blocked the doorway. You can't take her. She's family. Victor's laugh was bitter. This isn't family. This is abuse, and it ends tonight. The woman with the briefcase stepped forward. Mr. Sterling. Mrs. Sterling, my name is Amanda Chen. I'm Mr. Hale's attorney. I have documentation of 20 years of abuse, neglect, and assault. If you attempt to contact Nenah Sterling again, if you come near her, if you so much as speak her name in public, we will press charges. Criminal charges. Do I make myself clear? Richard and Margaret said nothing. I said, do I make myself clear? Yes, Richard finally muttered. Good, Amanda smiled. Oh, and one more thing, you're being served. She pulled papers from her briefcase and slapped them into Richard's hands. Nenah is suing for her inheritance. Her mother was never paid for the 20 years she worked here. We have documentation of that too. See you in court. Victor carried Nenah out of the study, down the stairs, through the crowd of shocked guests, and out into the night. A black SUV waited in the circular driveway door, open engine running. Victor settled Nenah in the back seat, then climbed in beside her. As they pulled away, Nenah looked back at the estate, at the white colonial with its black shutters and its perfectly manicured lawn, the prison she'd lived in for 25 years. You're free, Victor said, reading her thoughts. You're finally free. And for the first time in her life, Nenah believed it. The hospital lights were too bright. Nenah sat on the examination table, her broken hand now splinted and wrapped, watching Victor pace back and forth across the small room like a caged animal. He'd been silent since the doctor left, his jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscle jumping. You don't have to stay, she said quietly. He stopped mid-stride and looked at her like she'd just suggested jumping off a bridge. What? I mean, you've done enough. More than enough. You can go home. I'll be fine. Fine. Victor's laugh was sharp. You've used that word 3 times since we got here. Your hand is broken in 2 picas. You have bruising on your throat that looks like someone tried to strangle you. You have a concussion. But you're fine. I've had worse. The words slipped out before Nenah could stop them. Victor went very still. What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't mean... You've had worse. His voice dropped to barely above a whisper. How much worse, Nenah? She looked away. It doesn't matter now. It matters to me. Why? The question burst out of her, raw and desperate. Why does it matter to you? I'm just your assistant. You barely know me. I know enough. You don't. You don't know anything about me except what you've seen in the office. The professional version. The version that shows up on time and files your paperwork and says yes, sir, to everything you ask. Victor pulled up a chair and sat down in front of her, close enough that their knees almost touched. Then tell me the version I don't know. Why would you want to know that version? Because that version just called me from her father's study with a broken hand and terror in her voice. Because that version has been showing up to my office for 6 months with bruises she thinks I don't notice. Because that version is stronger than anyone I've ever met and doesn't even realize it. Tears burned Nenah's eyes. I'm not strong. You survived 25 years in that house. You're still standing. That's strength. That's just survival. Sometimes they're the same thing. Victor leaned back, running a hand through his hair. You want to know why I hired you? Because I had good references. Your references were terrible. You had 6 months experience as a barista and a high school diploma. On paper, you were completely unqualified. Nenah blinked. Then why? Because when I asked you why you wanted the job, you looked me in the eye and said, because I need to prove to myself that I'm worth something. Most people lie in interviews. They say what they think I want to hear. But you told me the truth, and I respected that. I needed the money. You needed more than money. You needed an escape. Victor's eyes held hers. I saw it the first day you walked into my office. The way you kept looking at the door like someone might drag you back out. The way you flinched when I raised my voice on a phone call. The way you apologized for everything, even things that weren't your fault. Nenah's chest tightened. You noticed all that. I notice everything about you. The air between them shifted, charged with something Nenah couldn't name. Mr. Hale. Victor? Victor, she corrected the name, still feeling foreign on her tongue. I don't understand what's happening right now. What do you think is happening? I think my boss just assaulted my father and threatened to destroy his life. I think I just left the only home I've ever known with nothing but the clothes on my back. I think my entire life just imploded and I have no idea what comes next. What comes next is you stay with me. Nenah's heart stopped. What? I have a guest house. 3 bedrooms, full kitchen, completely private. You can stay there as long as you need. I can't do that. Why not? Because it's inappropriate. You're my boss. People will talk. Victor's smile was grim. Let them talk. I don't care what people think. I care. Why? Because I've spent my entire life being called the illegitimate daughter, the charity case, the help. I don't want to add the boss's mistress to that list. No one would think that. Everyone would think that. Nenah slid off the examination table, cradling her injured hand. A 25-year-old girl moves into her wealthy boss's guest house. What else would they think? They'd think I'm helping an employee in crisis. They'd think I'm sleeping with you for money. The words hung between them, ugly and true. Victor stood slowly. Is that what you think? No, but it doesn't matter what I think. It's the only thing that matters. He stepped closer, close enough that Nenah could smell his cologne, something expensive and understated. Do you trust me? Yes. Then trust me when I say I'm not doing this for any reason except that it's the right thing to do. You need a safe place to stay. I have one. It's that simple. Nothing is ever that simple. It is if we make it that simple. Victor pulled out his phone. I'm calling my housekeeper. She'll have the guest house ready in an hour. You'll have your own space, your own privacy, your own life. I won't bother you. I won't expect anything from you. You can stay as long as you need and leave whenever you want. Okay, Nenah wanted to argue, wanted to insist she could figure this out on her own, find her own apartment, handle her own problems. But the truth was she had $300 in her bank account and nowhere to go. Okay, she whispered. Victor's shoulders relaxed slowly. Good. Now let's get out of this hospital before they try to admit you overnight. They were halfway to the parking lot when Nenah's legs gave out. 1 second she was walking, the next she was on the ground, her vision tunneling, her breath coming in short gasps. Nenah! Victor was on his knees beside her instantly. What's wrong? Can't breathe, can't. You're having a panic attack. Look at me. Just look at me. She tried, but the edges of her vision were going black. Breathe with me, Victor said, his voice calm and steady. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Come on, match my breathing. He demonstrated, exaggerating each breath. Nenah tried to follow, but her lungs wouldn't cooperate. You're safe, Victor continued. You're not there anymore. You're here with me. You're safe. Slowly, painfully, her breathing began to even out. The darkness receded. The world came back into focus, and she realized she was clutching Victor's jacket with her good hand, her face pressed on against his chest. I'm sorry, she gasped. Don't apologize. Just breathe. They sat there on the hospital parking lot floor for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Victor didn't move, didn't complain, just held her steady until the shaking stopped. Has this happened before? He asked quietly. Sometimes, when things get too much. How often is sometimes 2 or 3 times a week? Victor's arms tightened around her. Jesus, Nenah. I'm fine. Stop saying that. You're not fine. You haven't been fine for a very long time. He pulled back enough to look at her. But you're going to be. I'm going to make sure of it. You can't fix me. I'm not trying to fix you. I'm trying to help you fix yourself. Before Nenah could respond, his phone rang. He pulled it out with one hand, keeping the other arm around her shoulders. What? He answered curtly, a pause. You're sure? His expression darkened. When? Another pause. No, don't let him in. I don't care what he says. Call the police if you have to. He hung up and looked at Nenah. That was my security team. Your father just showed up at my office building. Nenah's blood went cold. What? He's demanding to see you, says you're not in your right mind, that I coerced you into leaving. That's not true. I know it's not true, but he's making a scene in the lobby. My head of security wants to know if he should call the cops or let Richard come up. Don't call the cops. That'll just make it worse. Worse than him harassing my staff. He'll sue you. He'll claim you're holding me against my will. He'll twist everything. Victor's jaw clenched. Then I'll let him come up, and I'll deal with him myself. No, you can't. If you confront him again, he'll use it against you. He'll say you're violent, unstable. I don't care what he says about me. I care. Nenah grabbed his arm with her good hand. Please, just let me talk to him. Absolutely not. It's the only way to end this. Nenah, I'll do it over the phone. He doesn't need to see me. I'll just tell him I'm fine, that I left on my own, that he needs to leave us alone. Victor looked like he wanted to argue, but something in her expression must have convinced him. He handed her his phone. You sure about this? No, but I have to do it anyway. He made the call, then passed the phone to her. Richard's voice came through, angry and slurred. Where is she? Where's my daughter? I'm right here, Father. Silence, then. Nenah, thank God, this man has been holding you hostage. I'm coming to get you right now. No, you're not. I left on my own. I chose to leave. You're not thinking clearly. You're upset. But we can work through this. Come home and I'm never coming home. The words felt powerful. Final. Richard's tone shifted, becoming pleading. Nenah, please. I know I got angry tonight. I know I said things I shouldn't have. But you're my daughter. You belong with family. You're not my family. You never were. Your mother would be ashamed of you right now. The manipulation was so obvious, so practiced, that Nenah almost laughed. My mother would be proud that I finally had the courage to leave. You ungrateful little... I'm done, Father. I'm done being your punching bag. I'm done being your guilty conscience. I'm done. If you hang up this phone, you're dead to me. You hear me? Dead. Good. Then we finally agree on something. She hung up. Her whole body was shaking again, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was from relief. Victor took the phone back. You okay? I think so. No, I don't know. Ask me again tomorrow. I'll ask you every day if I have to. He stood and offered her his hand. Come on, let's get you somewhere safe. The guest house was beautiful. Nenah stood in the entrance, taking in the hardwood floors, the vaulted ceilings, the wall of windows overlooking a garden she could barely see in the dark. It's too much, she whispered. It's just right. Victor set her borrowed overnight bag on the counter. Kitchen's fully stocked. Bathroom has everything you need. Bedroom's upstairs. My housekeeper left some clothes in your size, just basics, until we can get you proper shopping done. You didn't have to. I wanted to. He pulled out a set of keys. Front door, back door gate code is 1847. You can change it to whatever you want. Nenah took the keys, their weight foreign in her hand. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to thank me. Victor moved toward the door, then hesitated. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you stay so long? The question hit Nenah like a punch. What? At your father's house? Why didn't you leave sooner? You're 25. You could have left years ago. Where would I have gone? Anywhere, a shelter, a friend's place, anywhere but there. I didn't have friends. Richard made sure of that. He told everyone I was mentally unstable, that I made up stories for attention. Who would have believed me? Victor's expression softened. I would have. You didn't know me then. If I had, I would have believed you, and I would have gotten you out. Why? The question came out more desperately than Nenah intended. Why do you care so much? Victor was quiet for a long moment, and his hand on the door frame, his back partially to her. Because I know what it's like, he finally said. What's like to feel trapped, to feel worthless, to think you deserve the pain. He turned to face her. My father wasn't like yours. He didn't hit me. He did something worse. Nenah waited, hardly breathing. He ignored me, Victor continued, completely. I was 8 years old when my mother died, and my father looked at me like I was a stranger. like I died with her. He remarried 6 months later, had 2 new kids within 3 years, and I became the ghost in the corner of the family photos. Victor, I'm so sorry. Don't be. I'm telling you this so you understand that I get it. Not the physical abuse, but the emotional torture. The constant message that you don't matter, that you're not enough, that you're the problem. He stepped closer. And I'm telling you this so you know that it gets better. It took me 20 years to figure out I was worth something, to build a life where I mattered. And I want that for you too. Tears spilled down Nenah's cheeks. What if I can't do it? You can. You already have. Victor reached out and gently brushed a tear away with his thumb. You called me tonight. That took courage. I was desperate. Desperation and courage often look the same. They stood there inches apart, the air between them crackling with the unspoken things. Victor dropped his hand and stepped back. I should go, let you rest. Victor, yeah, thank you for everything. His smile was sad. Don't thank me yet, the hard part's just beginning. He left, and Nenah was alone for the first time in hours. She walked through the guest house in a daze, touching things gently like they might disappear. Real furniture, clean walls, a refrigerator full of actual food. In the bedroom, she found the clothes Victor's housekeeper had left: soft pajamas, jeans, sweaters, all in her size. She changed slowly, her broken hand making everything difficult. When she finally crawled into bed, the sheets were so soft she almost cried again. This was real. This was happening. She was free, but freedom, she was learning, came with its own kind of terror. Because now she had to figure out who she was without the weight of Richard's abuse defining her. Now she had to learn how to exist in a world that didn't constantly tell her she was worthless. Now she had to face the possibility that maybe, just maybe, Victor was right. Maybe she was worth something after all. Sleep didn't come easy. Every sound made her jump. The house settling, the wind in the trees, the distant hum of traffic. Her mind kept replaying the night on loop. Richard's face, Margaret's cruelty, Lily's laughter, Victor's arms around her. She was still awake at 3 a.m. when her borrowed phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number, can't sleep either. Nenah stared at it, then realized it had to be Victor. He was the only one who had this number. She typed back, "How did you know I can see your bedroom light from my office window? You should be resting." "You should too. I'm working." At 3 a.m. I do my best thinking when the world is quiet. Nenah smiled despite herself. What are you thinking about? The 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times before his response came through. How to make sure your father never hurts you again. Her smile faded. You can't protect me forever. Watch me. Victor, I'm serious. You have a company to run, a life. You can't spend all your time babysitting me. Is that what you think I'm doing? Babysitting, aren't you? How? I'm investing. In what? In you. Nenah's breath caught. Why? Because someone should have invested in you a long time ago. And since no one did, I will. She didn't know how to respond to that. Get some sleep, Nenah. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. What happens tomorrow? We start rebuilding your life. I don't even know where to start. Then it's a good thing you have me. I don't want to be a burden. You're not a burden. You're an opportunity. For what? For me to do something that actually matters. The conversation ended there, but Nenah lay awake for another hour rereading those last words. For me to do something that actually matters. What did that mean? What did she matter to him? And more importantly, why did the question make her heart race? Morning came too fast. Nenah woke to sunlight streaming through windows she'd forgotten to cover, and the smell of coffee brewing somewhere downstairs. She stumbled down to find Victor in her kitchen, dressed in a suit, pouring coffee into 2 mugs. What are you doing here? She asked, her voice rough with sleep. Good morning to you too. He handed her a mug. Cream, 2 sugars. That's how you take it, right? How did you know that? I notice things. He leaned against the counter. We have a meeting at 9. A meeting with who? My lawyer. We're filing a restraining order against your father, and we're moving forward with the lawsuit for your mother's back wages. Nenah's stomach clenched. I don't want to sue him. Why not? Because it'll make everything worse. He'll retaliate. He'll what he's already done his worst. What else can he take from you? My peace of mind. You don't have peace of mind. Not yet. But you will once this is settled. Victor set down his coffee. Nenah, your mother worked for that family for 20 years. She was never properly compensated. Richard owes you that money. I don't want his money. It's not his money. It's your mother's money, and by extension yours. It feels wrong. What feels wrong is letting him keep it. Victor's voice softened. You don't have to decide right now. Just come to the meeting. Hear what Amanda has to say. Then we'll go from there. Okay. Nenah nodded reluctantly. Good. Now go get dressed. We leave in 45 minutes. The law office was all glass and steel, so different from Richard's old money oak and leather aesthetic. Amanda Chen met them in the conference room with a stack of files and a smile that was all teeth. Nenah, good to see you looking better than last night. Thank you for helping me. I'm not helping you, I'm burying your father. There's a difference. Amanda opened the first file. Let's talk strategy. We have 3 angles here. First, the restraining order. That's easy. Documented abuse witnesses' medical records. Judge will grant it, no question. Okay. Second, the wage theft lawsuit. Your mother, Elena Sterling, worked for the Sterling family from 1985 until her death in 2005. 20 years. During that time, she was paid below minimum wage, forced to work overtime without compensation, and denied basic benefits. We have her handwritten records. She kept meticulous notes. We're suing for back wages plus damages. Conservative estimate, $750,000. Nenah nearly choked on her coffee. That much. That's conservative. If we factor in emotional distress and punitive damages, we could push for $2 million. I don't want $2 million. Why not? Amanda looked genuinely confused. Because I just want to be left alone. I don't want to spend the next year in court fighting with Richard. I just want peace. And you'll have peace, Victor interjected, after we make sure he can never hurt you again. This lawsuit isn't just about money, Nenah. It's about accountability. It's about showing him that actions have consequences. He won't learn. He'll just get angrier. Let him be angry from a distance. That's what the restraining order is for. Amanda cleared her throat. There's a third angle we need to discuss, and it's going to be uncomfortable. Nenah's stomach dropped. What is it? Your mother's death certificate lists cause of death as accidental fall downstairs. But according to her journal entries in the weeks leading up to her death, she was afraid of Richard. She wrote about him becoming violent, about trying to figure out how to leave with you, and then she died. The room spun. What are you saying? I'm saying the circumstances were suspicious. I'm saying maybe we should request an investigation. No. Nenah stood up so fast her chair tipped backward. Absolutely not. Nenah, my mother fell. It was an accident. That's what the police said. That's what everyone said. The police did a cursory investigation because Richard Sterling is a powerful man with connections. But if we demand a real investigation, no. Nenah's voice cracked. I can't go through that. I can't spend months or years wondering if my father murdered my mother. I can't. Victor was beside her instantly, his hand on her shoulder. Then we won't. Amanda tabled that discussion. But table it? Amanda nodded, though she looked unhappy about it. Nenah sat back down, her whole body trembling. I'm sorry, Don't apologize, Victor said. We move at your pace, not mine, not Amanda's, yours. The meeting continued, but Nenah barely heard the rest of it. Her mind was stuck on Amanda's words. Suspicious circumstances. Afraid of Richard. Trying to figure out how to leave? No, she couldn't think about that. Couldn't let herself go down that path. Her mother had fallen. It was tragic, but it was an accident. Wasn't it? They left the law office an hour later with signed paperwork and a court date set for 2 weeks out. You're quiet, Victor observed as they walked to his car. I'm thinking. About what Amanda said. I don't want to talk about it. Okay. He opened her car door. What do you want to talk about, him? I don't know. Normal things. What's your favorite color? What kind of music do you like? Do you have any hobbies besides working 18-hour days? Victor smiled as he slid into the driver's seat. Blue, jazz, and I restore classic cars. Really? You sound surprised. I just never pictured you as the car guy. There's a lot you don't know about me, Nenah Sterling. Then tell me. We have time. They spent the drive back to Victor's estate, trading life stories. Nenah learned that Victor had built his company from nothing, that he'd been homeless at 19, that he'd worked 3 jobs to put himself through college. How did you go from homeless to billionaire? She asked. Luck, the timing, and a lot of people underestimating me. He glanced at her. You know what the best revenge is? What? Success. Building something so big, so undeniable that the people who doubted you have to watch you win. Is that what you did every single day? Victor pulled into the estate driveway. My father told me I'd never amount to anything, said I was too soft, too emotional, too much like my mother. So I built an empire, and then I bought his company out from under him. Nenah's eyes widened. You didn't. I did. Best 20 million I ever spent. I walked into his office, handed him the buyout papers, and said, I learned from the best how to be ruthless. What did he say? Nothing. For the first time in his life, my father had nothing to say. Victor's smile was sharp. That's what we're going to do to Richard. We're going to make you so successful, so undeniable, that when he sees you all, he'll feel his regret. I'm not like you, Victor. I don't have your drive, your intelligence, your... Stop. He turned off the car and faced her fully. You have something I had to spend years developing. You have empathy. You understand pain. And people who understand pain make the best leaders because they know how to help others heal. I don't want to be a leader. What do you want to be? The question hung in the air. What did she want to be? For 25 years, Nenah had only wanted one thing to survive. She'd never let herself dream beyond that. Never let herself imagine a future where she had choices, options, possibilities. I don't know, she finally admitted. Then we'll figure it out together. Victor reached over and squeezed her good hand. No pressure, no expectations, just possibilities. And for the first time in her life, Nenah let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, she had a future worth dreaming about. The package arrived 3 days later. Nenah was sitting at the guest house kitchen table trying to drink coffee with her still healing hand when she heard the knock. She opened the door to find a courier holding a large manila envelope. Nenah Sterling. Her stomach dropped. Nobody should know she was here. Who's asking? I just deliver the packages, ma'am. Sign here. She signed with her good hand, her pulse racing. The moment the courier left, she ripped open the envelope. Photos spilled out onto the floor. Nenah's knees buckled. They were pictures of her mother, dozens of them. Elena Sterling in her maid's uniform, Elena laughing with a young Nenah, Elena's bruised face turned away from the camera, Elena at the bottom of the stairs, her neck bent at an impossible angle. The last photo made Nenah vomit. She barely made it to the sink before her coffee came back up. Her whole body shook as she gripped the counter, trying to breathe, trying to think. There was a note tucked in the envelope. She didn't want to read it, but her hands moved on their own. Like mother, like daughter, accidents happen to girls who don't know their place. Come home before you end up the same way. A family friend. Nenah's phone was in her hand before she realized she was calling Victor. He answered on the first ring. What's wrong? Someone sent me photos of my mother, of her body. Victor, they're threatening me. I'm on my way. Don't touch anything else. Don't open the door for anyone. You hear me? Yes. I'll be there in 5 minutes. It took him 3. Victor burst through the door like a hurricane, his eyes scanning the room until they landed on Nenah. She was still standing by the sink, the photos scattered across the floor like accusatory ghosts. He didn't ask permission. He just pulled her into his arms and held her while she shook. It's okay. I've got you. You're safe. How did they find me? How did they know where I was? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Victor pulled back enough to look at the photos without releasing her. His face went white, then red. Jesus Christ. The last one, that's from the coroner's report. No one should have access to that except police and family. Your father has connections everywhere. This wasn't my father. Nenah's voice was hollow. The handwriting, I know that handwriting. Who, Margaret? Victor's jaw clenched so hard Nenah heard his teeth grind. You're sure? She used to leave me notes, instructions for cleaning, reminders of my place, always in that same curly script. Nenah picked up the note with trembling fingers. This is her. Then she just made a very big mistake. Victor pulled out his phone. I'm calling Amanda. This is witness intimidation, harassment, possibly illegal acquisition of crime scene photos. Crime scene, Nenah repeated. It was an accident. Victor looked at her for a long moment. Was it? Don't, please don't. Nenah, someone doesn't send photos like this unless they're trying to hide something. Unless they're afraid you're going to start asking questions they don't want answered. I don't want to ask questions. I just want this to stop. It won't stop. Not until we make it stop. Victor made the call, his voice clipped and professional, as he explained the situation to Amanda. When he hung up, his expression was grim. She's filing an emergency motion for an immediate restraining order, and she's reporting the photos to the police. The police won't care. They will when I make them care. Victor, you can't fix everything with money and power. Watch me. There was something in his voice that made Nenah look up. He was staring at the photos with an expression she'd never seen before. Not just anger, something darker. Something that looked almost like guilt. What is it? She asked quietly. Nothing. Don't lie to me. What are you thinking? Victor ran a hand through his hair. I'm thinking I should have done more. 6 months ago, when you first walked into my office with bruises on your arms, I should have asked. I should have pushed. I should have gotten you out then. I wouldn't have left. I should have made you leave. You couldn't have made me do anything. No one could. Nenah touched his arm. I wasn't ready. I had to get there on my own. And now someone's threatening to kill you because you dared to leave. The words hung in the air, stark and terrifying. They won't actually hurt me, Nenah said, trying to convince herself as much as him. They're just trying to scare me back. And if you don't go back, I won't. I can't. I'd rather die than go back there. Don't say that. Victor's hand cupped her face, his thumb brushing her cheek. Don't ever say that. It's true. It's not an option. You are not going to die. You're going to live. You're going to thrive, and you're going to show them that they have no power over you anymore. Nenah wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. But the photos on the floor told a different story. The police came and went, taking statements and photos and promising to investigate. Nenah could tell by their expressions they thought she was overreacting. Just a family dispute. Just a bitter daughter making trouble. They didn't see what she saw in those photos. They didn't understand the message beneath the message. After they left, Victor insisted Nenah come stay in the main house. I can't leave you alone in the guest house. Not after this. I'll be fine. You're shaking. She was. She couldn't stop. Just for tonight, Victor pressed. There's a bedroom next to mine. You'll have privacy, but I'll be close if you need anything. Victor, people will talk. I don't care about people. I do. Why? The question was sharp. Why do you care what strangers think when the people who are supposed to love you are threatening your life? Because I've spent my entire life being judged, being talked about, being the scandal everyone whispers about at parties. I don't want to be that person anymore. You're not that person. You never were. They made you feel like you were, but it was never true. Victor's hands found her shoulders, steadying her. And anyone who looks at you and sees anything other than strength and courage and grace is blind. Nenah's breath caught. You don't mean that. I've never meant anything more. They stood there too close, the air between them charged with something Nenah couldn't name and didn't want to examine. Her phone rang, shattering the moment. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but Victor nodded. Put it on speaker. She did. Lily's voice poured out like venom. Did you get our gift? Nenah's hand tightened on the phone. What do you want, Lily? I want you to understand something. You can run to your rich boyfriend. You can hide behind lawyers, but you're still nothing. You're still just the help's bastard daughter. I'm done listening to you. Oh, you'll listen. Because if you don't drop this lawsuit, if you don't come back and apologize to Father, we're going to release those photos. All of them. To the media, to the internet. Everyone will see your mother's broken body. Everyone will know what happens to girls who forget their place. Victor grabbed the phone. This is Victor Hale, and you just confessed to blackmail and witness intimidation on a recorded line. Congratulations. Silence. Then Lily's voice, smaller now. You're recording every call, every text, every email. I have an entire legal team documenting everything you and your family do. So go ahead, release those photos, and I'll release the recordings of you threatening a woman who's already filed a restraining order. Let's see who the media sides with. You're bluffing. Try me. Lily hung up. Nenah stared at Victor. You're actually recording everything. Since the night I picked you up from that house. Every interaction, every threat, every instance of harassment. We're building a case. You should have told me. Would you have let me if I had? She wouldn't have. He was right. I don't like being manipulated, she said quietly. I'm not manipulating you. I'm protecting you. There's a difference. Is there? Victor's expression hardened. You think I'm like them? You think I'm trying to control you? I think you're used to being in charge, used to making decisions for other people, used to getting your way. That's what you think of me. I don't know what to think anymore. Nenah's voice cracked. 3 days ago, I was trapped in that house. Now I'm here living in your guest house, depending on you for everything, and you're making decisions about my life without asking me first. I'm trying to help. I know, and that's what scares me. Why does it scare you? Because what happens when you get tired of helping? What happens when I'm not an interesting project anymore? What happens when you realize I'm just another broken person with too much baggage? Victor stepped closer. You're not a project. Then what am I? The question hung between them, heavy with implications neither of them was ready to face. You're someone I care about, Victor said finally. Someone I respect. Someone who deserves better than what she got. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have right now. Nenah's phone rang again. Different number this time. Amanda's name flashed on the screen. Answer it, Victor said. Nenah did, her hand still shaking. Hello. Nenah, it's Amanda. I have news. The judge granted the emergency restraining order. As of 20 minutes ago, Richard, Margaret, and Lily Sterling are prohibited from contacting you in any way. No calls, no texts, no emails, no third-party messages. If they violate it, they'll be arrested. That fast. Those photos were enough. Judge took one look and signed immediately. But there's more. What? The police just contacted me. They're reopening the investigation into your mother's death. The floor dropped out from under Nenah's feet. What? Why, I didn't ask them to. Someone else did. An anonymous tip came in 3 hours ago with evidence suggesting Elena Sterling's death wasn't accidental. The tipster included medical records, photos, and excerpts from her journal that weren't in the original police report. Nenah looked at Victor. He wouldn't meet her eyes. Victor, she said slowly, did you do this, Nenah? Did you call in that tip? I had to? You had no right, her voice rose. I told you I didn't want this. I told you I couldn't handle this. And I couldn't let your mother's death go uninvestigated. Not when there's evidence. Evidence you had no right to dig up. Those were her private journals, her private medical records. You violated her privacy. You violated my trust. I did what needed to be done. You did what you wanted to do, just like everyone else in my life. Nenah backed away from him. You're no different than Richard. Victor looked like she'd slapped to seek at him. Don't compare me to him. Why not? You both think you know what's best for me. You both make decisions without asking. You both think I'm too weak, too broken, too stupid to handle my own life. That's not fair. Fair. Nenah laughed, the sound bitter. You want to talk about fair? Was it fair for you to go behind my back? Was it fair for you to force me into a murder investigation? I specifically said I didn't want. Your mother deserves justice. My mother is dead. Justice won't bring her back. All it will do is drag her name through the mud, expose every painful detail of her life, and make me relive the worst day of my existence. Tears streamed down Nenah's face. I can't do this. I can't be around you right now. Nenah, wait. But she was already gone, running out of the main house and back to the guest house, her broken hand throbbing, her heart shattering. She locked the door behind her and slid down to the floor, sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. This was exactly what she'd been afraid of. Getting close to someone, trusting someone, and then having them betray her in the name of helping. Victor thought he was saving her, but he was just controlling her in a different way. And Nenah was done being controlled. She pulled out her phone and started searching for apartments. Cheap ones. Studio apartments she could barely afford. Anything to get out of here, to stand on her own 2 feet, to prove to herself and everyone else that she didn't need rescuing. But every listing she looked at required first month, last month, and security deposit. That was at least $4,000. She had 300. A knock on the door made her jump. Nenah, please. Let me explain. Victor's voice muffled through the wood. Go away. I can't. Not until you hear me out. There's nothing to hear. You made your choice. You went behind my back. End of story. I was trying to protect you. I don't want your protection. I want my autonomy. I want my choices. I want to be treated like an adult who can make her own decisions, even if those decisions are different from what you think is best. Silence. Then, you're right. Nenah froze. You're right. I overstepped. I made a choice that wasn't mine to make, and I'm sorry. She didn't move from her spot on the floor. I can't undo the tip, Victor continued. The police have it now. The investigation is happening whether we want it or not, but I can promise you this from now on, no more decisions without your input. No more going behind your back. No more treating you like you're too fragile to handle the truth. Why should I believe you? Because I'm standing out here begging you to forgive me instead of walking away. Because I care about you more than I care about being right. And because I'm realizing that maybe I've been so focused on fixing your problems that I forgot to ask what you actually wanted. Nenah pressed her forehead against the door. What I want is impossible. Try me. I want my mother back. I want the last 25 years erased. I want to have grown up in a normal family with normal problems. I want to not feel broken every time someone tries to help me. I can't give you the first three, but I can help with the last one. How? By being patient, by listening more than I talk, by remembering that helping someone doesn't mean taking over their life. Nenah's hand found the door handle. She almost turned it, almost let him in. But then her phone buzzed with an email notification. The subject line made her blood run cold. Re-investigation into death of Elena Sterling. She opened it with shaking hands. It was from the police department. They wanted to interview her tomorrow, 9 a.m., and they wanted to know if she had any information about her father's whereabouts on the night her mother died. The implication was clear. They thought Richard had killed her. Nenah's vision blurred. The email slipped from her hands as the panic attack hit full force. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think, the door burst open. Victor must have had a key. He was on his knees beside her, pulling her into his arms, his voice steady and calm. Breathe with me. In, out, in, out. You're okay. I've got you. They think he killed her. Nenah gasped. The police think Richard murdered my mother. I know. Did he kill her? I don't know, but we're going to find out. I don't want to find out. I want to go back to 3 days ago when I didn't know any of this, when I thought she just fell, when I could pretend my father was just mean and not a murderer. You can't unknow it now. None of us can. This is your fault. The words came out harsh, accusing. If you hadn't called in that tip, if you hadn't forced this investigation, then you'd spend the rest of your life wondering, and that would eat you alive. Victor pulled back to look at her. I've seen what guilt does to people, Nenah. I've watched it destroy them from the inside out, and I couldn't let that happen to you. So you made the choice for me. Yes, and I was wrong, but I can't take it back. All I can do is stand beside you while you face it, if you'll let me. Nenah wanted to say no, wanted to push him away, prove she didn't need anyone. But the truth was she was terrified. Terrified of what the investigation would find, terrified of facing Richard in court, terrified of learning that her entire childhood had been built on a lie, and she didn't want to face it alone. Okay, she whispered, okay. You can stay, but no more secrets, no more decisions without me. We do this together or not at all. Together, Victor agreed, I promise. They sat on the floor of the guest house for hours, not talking, just existing in the same space. And slowly, gradually, Nenah's breathing evened out. The panic receded, and in its place came something else, something that felt almost like hope. Maybe she couldn't control what happened next. Maybe she couldn't change the past, but she could choose who stood beside her in the present. And right now, despite everything, she chose Victor. The interview with the police was brutal. Detective Sarah Chen was professional but relentless. She asked about Richard's temper, about his drinking, about the fights Nenah had overheard between her parents. Were they married? Detective Chen asked. No, my mother was his housekeeper. And their relationship was complicated. He got her pregnant. He promised to take care of us. He didn't. Did he ever hit your mother? Nenah hesitated. I was young. I don't remember everything. But you remember some things. I remember crying. I remember my mother with bruises. I remember her telling me she fell. But even at 5 years old, I knew people didn't fall that much. Detective Chen made notes. The night she died, where were you, Chuki? In my room, asleep. You didn't hear anything. I heard yelling, but that was normal. They fought all the time. Did you hear what they were fighting about? Nenah closed her eyes, trying to remember. Money. My mother wanted child support. Richard said she was trying to extort him. And then it got quiet, too quiet. I went downstairs and found her at the bottom of the stairs. She wasn't moving. There was blood. Where was your father? At the top of the stairs, looking down. He told me to go back to my room. Told me not to come out no matter what I heard. Did you? Yes, I was 5. I did what I was told. Detective Chen's expression softened slightly. I know this is hard, but I need you to think carefully. Did you see your father push your mother? No. Did you see him hit her? Not that night, but I saw him hit her other times. Saw him grab her. Saw him throw things. Would you testify to that? Nenah's stomach clenched. In court, if it comes to that, I don't know. I need time to think about it. Take all the time you need. But Nenah, Detective Chen leaned forward. Your mother's medical records show she had 3 broken ribs at the time of her death. Ribs don't break from falling downstairs. They break from being kicked repeatedly. The room spun. She was kicked. Multiple times, recently. The bruising was only a few days old. Why didn't anyone investigate this before? Because your father is a wealthy, connected man, and your mother was nobody, just a maid who died tragically. The original investigating officer took one look at the scene, talked to your father for 10 minutes, and closed the case. Who was the investigating officer? A man named Thomas Sterling, your father's cousin. Nenah's hands went numb. The investigation was a cover-up. That's what we're trying to determine, but we need your help. We need you to be willing to testify about what you saw, what you heard, what you experienced in that house. And if I do, what happens to Richard? If we can prove he killed your mother, he goes to prison for the rest of his life. Justice, Victor had talked about justice, but justice meant destroying her father. It meant admitting to the world that she'd spent 25 years living with her mother's murderer. It meant accepting that she'd known on some level the truth all along. I need to think about it, Nenah said again. Of course, but Nenah, think fast, because if your father realizes we're building a case against him, he might run. Or worse, he might come after you to silence you, like he silenced your mother. The threat hung in the air, stark and terrifying. Victor was waiting in the lobby when Nenah emerged. One look at her face and he was on his feet. What happened? My mother was murdered. The police know it. I know it. And they want me to testify against Richard. Will you? Nenah looked at him. This man who'd upended her entire life in the span of a week. This man who drove her crazy and made her feel safe in equal measure. I don't know, she admitted. But I think I have to, don't I? Only you can answer that. That's not helpful. I'm trying to be supportive without being controlling. It's new for me. Give me credit. Despite everything, Nenah almost smiled. You're terrible at this. I know, but I'm trying. That counts for something, right? It counts for everything. They walked out of the police station together and Nenah felt the weight of the decision settling on her shoulders. Testify or stay silent. Seek justice or seek peace. Choose courage or choose safety. For the first time in her life, the choice was entirely hers, and that terrified her more than anything else. The decision came 3 days later at 2 in the morning when Nenah couldn't sleep. She'd been lying in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every memory of her mother, the good ones, the painful ones, the ones she'd buried so deep she'd convinced herself they weren't real. But they were real. All of it was real. She got up and walked to Victor's office. She knew he'd be awake. He was always awake. She found him exactly where she expected, behind his desk, reading contracts, a glass of scotch untouched at his elbow. He looked up when she entered. Can't sleep. I'm going to testify. Victor set down the contract. You're sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Nenah sat in the chair across from him. My mother deserves justice. She deserved it 20 years ago. She deserves it now. This is going to get ugly. I know. Richard will come after you with everything he has. Character assassination. Lies. He'll paint you as a vindictive daughter making false accusations. Let him try. Victor studied her face. What changed 3 days ago? You were terrified. I'm still terrified, but I realized something. Being scared of Richard is exactly what he wants. It's how he's controlled me my entire life, and I'm done being scared. Just like that. Not just like that, I had a dream last night about my mother. She was standing at the bottom of those stairs looking up at me, and she said, "Don't let him win, baby. Don't let him turn my death into nothing." Nenah's voice cracked. I know it was just a dream. I know she's gone, but I can't shake the feeling that she's waiting for me to do this, to finally speak up. Victor came around the desk and pulled her to her feet. Then we'll do it together. Every step of the way. I need you to promise me something. Anything. When this gets hard, and it will get hard, I need you to let me handle it my way. No more going behind my back. No more protecting me from decisions I need to make myself. I promise. I mean it, Victor. I'm serious. So am I. He held her gaze. I'm done making choices for you. From now on, we're partners. Equal partners. Partners, Nenah repeated. The word felt strange, good but strange. Victor's hands were still on her arms, warm and steady. They stood there in the quiet office close enough that Nenah could count his heartbeats. I should go, she whispered. Should you? Yes, because if I stay, I'm going to do something stupid. Like what? Like kiss you. The words were out before she could stop them. Victor's expression shifted, surprise, then heat, then something careful and controlled. That would be stupid. I know. You're vulnerable right now. Emotional. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking perfectly clearly. For the first time in my life, actually. Nenah, I know all the reasons this is a bad idea. You're my boss. I'm living in your guest house. I'm in the middle of a crisis. The power dynamic is completely unbalanced. I get it. Then why are you still standing here? Because I don't care. Nenah stepped closer. I've spent 25 years doing what other people told me to do, being who they wanted me to be. And I'm done. If I want to kiss you, I'm going to kiss you. And tomorrow when you regret it, I won't. You don't know that. You're right, I don't, but I'm tired of playing it safe. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of waiting for permission to want something. Victor's jaw clenched. I'm not going to take advantage of you. I'm not asking you to take advantage. I'm asking you to kiss me back. This is a terrible idea. Then tell me to leave. He didn't. Instead, he closed the distance between them and kissed her like he'd been thinking about it for months. Which Nenah realized as she melted into him, he probably had been. The kiss was everything and nothing like she'd imagined. Gentle but consuming. Careful but desperate. Like Victor was trying to hold back and failing spectacularly. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Nenah's head was spinning. Still think it's a terrible idea, she asked. Absolutely. Victor's thumb traced her jaw. But I've never been good at walking away from terrible ideas. So don't walk away. Nenah, I need you to understand something. If we do this, if we cross this line, everything changes. Everything's already changed. Not like this. This is different. He stopped, searching for words. This matters. You matter. And I don't want to screw this up. Then don't. It's not that simple. Why not? Victor stepped back, putting space between them. Because I care about you too much to rush this. Because you're in the middle of the biggest crisis of your life, and you need support, not complications. Because if we do this wrong, I lose you. And I can't lose you. Nenah's chest tightened. You're not going to lose me. You don't know that. People leave. They always leave. Is that what happened with your family? My family proved that love is conditional, that the moment you stop being useful, you get discarded. Victor's voice was hollow. I don't want that with you. I don't want to be another person who lets you down. You won't. You can't promise that. Neither can you. But we don't get guarantees, Victor. We just get choices. And I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. Why so? Because you see me, not the broken girl from the estate, not Richard's illegitimate daughter, not the victim who needs saving. You see me. And that's more than anyone's ever done. Victor's expression cracked. You're going to destroy me. Good, then we'll be even. He kissed her again, harder this time, all pretense of restraint gone. Nenah's back hit the desk papers, scattering, and she didn't care. Didn't care about anything except the feeling of being wanted, being seen, being chosen. When Victor's phone rang, they both ignored it. When it rang again, he cursed and pulled away. I'm sorry, I have to, it might be important. He answered, his voice clipped. This better be good. Nenah watched his expression change from annoyed to alert to furious in the span of seconds. When, a pause. How bad? Another pause. I'm on my way. He hung up and looked at Nenah, his face grim. That was my head of security. Someone broke into your father's estate tonight. Nenah's stomach dropped. Is anyone hurt? No, the family wasn't home. But whoever did it trashed the place. And they left a message. What kind of message? The same photos that were sent to you, plastered all over Richard's bedroom walls, along with copies of your mother's journal and a note that said murderer. Oh my God. The police are calling it a break-in, but Victor hesitated. But my security team thinks it was staged. They think Richard did it himself. Why would he trash his own house? To play the victim. To make it look like someone's harassing him. To shift the narrative from him being investigated for murder to him being the target of a vendetta. Nenah's mind raced. He's going to blame me. Probably. He's going to say I'm behind this, that I'm trying to frame him. Let him. We have alibis, security footage, phone records. He can't prove anything. He doesn't need to prove anything. He just needs to plant doubt, make the police think I'm unstable, make them question my testimony. Victor's hands found her shoulders again. Then we get ahead of it. We call Detective Chen right now. We tell her exactly where you've been tonight. We make it clear you had nothing to do with this. What if she doesn't believe us? She will, because unlike Richard, we have nothing to hide. But when they called Detective Chen, her response was not what they expected. Actually, I was just about to call you, she said. We need to talk, in person. Can you come to the station now? It's 3 a.m, Victor pointed out. I'm aware. This can't wait. They made the drive in tense silence. Nenah's mind was spinning with possibilities, each worse than the last. What if the police thought she was involved? What if Richard had planted evidence? What if this whole thing backfired, and she ended up arrested instead of him? Detective Chen met them in an interview room, her expression unreadable. Thank you for coming so quickly. She gestured to the chairs. Sit. They sat. I'm going to be direct, Chen said. The break-in at the Sterling estate tonight, it wasn't random, and it wasn't Richard staging a scene. Then who was it? Victor asked. We think it was Margaret Sterling. Nenah blinked. What? She was caught on a neighbor's security camera entering the property at 11:30 p.m. She was there for approximately 90 minutes. When she left, she was carrying 2 large bags. What was in the bags? We don't know yet. We're getting a warrant to search her hotel room. Hotel room, Nenah repeated. She doesn't live there anymore. According to the hotel staff, Margaret checked in 3 days ago, the same day the restraining order was filed. She and Richard are separated. The floor tilted beneath Nenah's feet. They're separating. More than that, she filed for divorce yesterday and she's talking. Talking about what? Detective Chen pulled out a file. About what really happened the night your mother died. Margaret was in the house that night. She saw everything. Nenah couldn't breathe. She saw Richard push my mother down the stairs. Not push, kick. She says Richard and Elena were fighting at the top of the stairs. He was drunk. She was crying. He grabbed her and she tried to pull away. He lost his temper and kicked her once, but it was enough. Elena fell backward and hit every step on the way down. The room was spinning. Margaret saw this and didn't say anything. Victor's voice was cold. For 20 years. She says she was scared. Richard threatened her, told her if she ever told anyone he'd kill her too. She believed him. And now, Nenah managed to ask, why is she talking now? Because she's dying. Silence. I'm sorry, what Nenah whispered. Stage 4 cancer. Diagnosed 2 weeks ago. She has maybe 6 months. And she says she wants to clear her conscience before she dies. Nenah's hands were numb. Margaret is dying. And she's willing to testify against Richard about what she saw, about the threats, about the cover-up. Detective Chen leaned forward. With her testimony, we have enough to arrest Richard Sterling for second-degree murder. Second degree, Victor asked. Not first. Margaret insists it wasn't premeditated, that Richard didn't plan to kill Elena, that it was a moment of rage that went too far. Does it matter? Nenah's voice sounded far away. Either way, he killed her. It matters for sentencing. First degree means life without parole. Second degree means 25 to life with possibility of parole. So he might get out someday. Possibly, but that's a conversation for later. Right now, I need to know if you're still willing to testify, because with Margaret's testimony, yours becomes corroborating evidence. You can confirm the pattern of abuse, the violence, the fear. You can make sure the jury understands who Richard Sterling really is. Nenah looked at Victor. He gave her the smallest nod. Your choice. I'll testify, she said, whatever you need. Good, because we're arresting Richard tomorrow morning, and I wanted you to hear it from me first. The news should have felt like victory, but all Nenah felt was hollow. They drove back to the estate in silence. Victor kept glancing at her, but Nenah couldn't form words, couldn't process what she just learned. Margaret had watched her mother die. Margaret had kept the secret for 20 years. Margaret was dying. And somehow that felt like the cruelest twist of all, that the woman who tormented Nenah for decades was finally doing the right thing, not because she'd found courage, but because she had nothing left to lose. Talk to me, Victor said quietly. I don't know what to say. Say whatever you're thinking, even if it doesn't make sense. I'm thinking that I should feel relieved. Justice is finally happening. Richard's going to prison. My mother's death will be avenged, but all I feel is angry. At Richard, at Margaret, at myself, at the universe for making this so complicated. Nenah's voice broke. She could have spoken up 20 years ago. She could have saved me from 2 decades of abuse, but she didn't. She chose her own safety over mine, and now she wants credit for finally telling the truth when she literally has nothing to lose. You don't owe her forgiveness. I don't even know if I want to forgive her. Part of me wants to thank her for finally doing the right thing. Part of me wants to scream at her for waiting so long, and part of me just wants to ask her why. Why did she hate me so much? What did I ever do to her except exist? Victor pulled the car over. What are you doing? Nenah asked. You need to scream. You need to cry. You need to sit here and fall apart. I've got time. He turned to face her fully. You don't have to hold it together for me, Nenah. You don't have to be strong every second of every day. If I start crying, I won't stop. Then don't stop. Cry until there's nothing left. I'll still be here. And that's what broke her. Nenah dissolved into sobs so violent her whole body shook. 25 years of pain, rage, grief, and fear poured out of her in waves she couldn't control. Victor pulled her across the console and into his arms, holding her while she shattered. I hate her, Nenah gasped between sobs. I hate her so much. I know. She watched me suffer and did nothing. She participated in my suffering. And now she's dying, and I'm supposed to what? Be grateful she finally developed a conscience. You don't have to be grateful. You can hate her. You can be angry. You can feel whatever you feel. I want to see her. Victor went still. Are you sure? No, but I need to. I need to look her in the eye and ask her why. I need to hear her say it. I need Nenah's breath hitched. I need closure, even if it hurts. Okay, then we'll arrange it. Tomorrow, after Richard's arrested, Amanda can set it up through the district attorney. You think she'll agree to see me? I think she owes you that much. At minimum. They sat in the car for another hour, Nenah crying until she had nothing left. When the tears finally stopped, she felt wrung out, but somehow lighter. Thank you, she whispered against Victor's chest. For what? For not trying to fix this. For just letting me feel it. You're easy to love, Nenah Sterling. You know that? The words hung in the air between them. Love. He'd said love. Nenah pulled back to look at him. Did you just... I did, and I meant it. Victor's expression was open, vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. I know the timing is terrible. I know this is the worst possible moment, but I'm done pretending I don't feel what I feel. I love you. I've loved you since the day you walked into my office and told me you needed to prove you were worth something, and I'll keep loving you whether you say it back or not. Victor, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know, needed you to hear it, because tomorrow everything changes. Richard gets arrested. The trial starts. The media descends. And I wanted you to know before all that chaos that you're not alone. You're loved. By me. Completely. Nenah's heart felt too big for her chest. I don't know if I know how to love someone back. I don't know if I'm capable of it. You are. I've seen you love. I've watched you mourn your mother with a devotion that never wavered. I've seen you protect yourself with a fierceness that takes my breath away. You know how to love Nenah. You just haven't had anyone worthy of it until now. You think you're worthy. I think I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be. Nenah kissed him, then pouring everything she couldn't say into the contact. All her fear and hope and desperate need to believe that maybe, just maybe, this was real. When they finally broke apart, Victor's eyes were bright. We should go home, he said. Yeah, we should. But neither of them moved. They stayed in the car, holding each other, watching the sun come up over the horizon. And for just a moment before the storm hit, Nenah let herself believe in happy endings. Richard Sterling was arrested at 8:15 a.m. Nenah watched it happen on the news. Victor's arm around her shoulders, her coffee going cold in her hands. The cameras caught everything. Richard in handcuffs, his face purple with rage. His lawyers shouting about false accusations. Lily crying on the front steps. That's him, Nenah whispered. That's my father. That's a man who's about to face justice for what he did. He looks so normal, so human. How can someone who looks that normal do something so monstrous? Monsters rarely look like monsters. That's what makes them dangerous. Nenah's phone rang, unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her. Hello. Nenah, it's Margaret. The sound of that voice, cold, controlled, cruel for so many years, made Nenah's stomach clench. What do you want? I heard you want to see me, to talk. How did you... The district attorney called, said you requested a meeting. I'm calling to accept. Nenah's heart pounded. Why would you agree to that? Because I owe you the truth, all of it, not just what I told the police. A pause. And because I'm dying, and I'd like to die with a slightly clearer conscience than I have right now. You think talking to me will give you that? I think it's worth trying. Today, this afternoon, I'm at the Riverside Hotel room 412. Come alone. No lawyers, no Victor, just you and me. That's not going to happen. I'm not meeting you without... Then we don't meet at all. Your choice, Nenah. But if you want answers, you'll come alone. Margaret hung up. Nenah stared at the phone, her mind racing. What did she say? Victor asked. She wants to meet, today, alone. Absolutely not. I know, it's a terrible idea. Then why do you look like you're considering it? Because I need answers, and she's the only one who has them. Nenah, this could be a trap. She could be working with Richard. She could be trying to get you alone to what? Kill me. She's dying, Victor. She can barely walk. What's she going to do? I don't know, but I don't like this. I don't like it either, but I'm doing it anyway. At least let me come with you. I'll wait in the car. I won't interfere. But I'll be close if you need me. Nenah wanted to argue, wanted to prove she could do this on her own, but the truth was she was terrified. Okay, she agreed. You can come, but you stay in the lobby. Give me 30 minutes. If I'm not down by then, you can come up. 15 minutes. Victor. 15, that's my final offer. Take it or I'm calling this whole thing off. Fine, 15 minutes. The Riverside Hotel was exactly the kind of place Margaret would choose. Expensive, discreet. Old money elegance without the flash. Victor walked Nenah to the elevator, his hand tight around hers. 15 minutes, he reminded her. I know. If anything feels wrong, you leave. You don't explain. You don't apologize. You just leave. I will. Promise me. I promise. He kissed her forehead. I'll be right here. Nenah rode the elevator to the 4th floor, her heart hammering against her ribs. Room 412 was at the end of the hall. She knocked. "Come in, it's open." Nenah pushed open the door. Margaret sat in a chair by the window wrapped in a silk robe, looking smaller than Nenah had ever seen her. Frailer, almost human. "Close the door," Margaret said. Nenah did, but she stayed near the exit. "You look terrified," Margaret observed. "I am." "Good. You should be. I've spent 25 years being cruel to you. A little healthy fear is appropriate." "Is that supposed to be funny?" "No, it's supposed to be honest." Margaret gestured to the chair across from her. "Sit." "I'll stand." "Suit yourself." Margaret poured herself water with shaking hands. "You want to know why. That's why you're here. You want to know why I hated you, why I tormented you, why I stayed silent about your mother's murder." "Yes." "The answer is simple. I was jealous." Nenah blinked. "What?" "Your mother had something I never did. Richard's love. Real love. Not the transactional marriage we had. Not the cold arrangement where I gave him respectability and he gave me money. Real messy, passionate love." Margaret's smile was bitter. He loved her, even when he hurt her, even when he killed her. He loved her in a way he never loved me. That's not love, that's obsession. Maybe, but it was more than I ever got. And when she died, when you showed up, you were proof. Living, breathing proof that Richard had given someone else what he never gave me. Margaret's eyes met Nenah's. "So I punished you for existing, for reminding me every single day that I was second choice, that I would always be second choice. That's not my fault." "I know, but I was angry, and you were there, and Richard didn't stop me. So I kept going, kept finding new ways to make you feel small, to make you feel worthless. Because if you were worthless, then maybe your mother wasn't so special after all." Nenah's hands were shaking. "You destroyed me because you were jealous." "Yes, that's it. That's your reason. That's my reason. That's the sickest thing I've ever heard." Margaret laughed, the sound hollow. "You're right. It is, and I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I'm sorry." "It's worth nothing. Your apology changes nothing." "I know, but I'm giving it anyway." Margaret coughed, her whole body shaking. "I'm dying, Nenah. Pancreatic cancer. They give me 6 months, but I don't think I'll make it that long. And I want to die knowing I told the truth. About Richard, about your mother, about everything." "Why now? Why not 10 years ago? Why not 20? Because I was a coward. Because I was scared of Richard. Because I convinced myself that silence was survival." Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "But mostly because admitting what I saw meant admitting what I'd done. It meant facing the fact that I'd let an innocent woman's murder go unpunished. That I'd participated in abusing her orphan child. And I couldn't face that. Not until I had no choice. So you're doing this for yourself, not for me, not for my mother, for you." "Yes, I'm doing it for me, to ease my guilt, to make my death slightly less monstrous than my life." Margaret leaned forward. "But that doesn't make the truth any less true. Richard killed your mother. I saw it happen, and I'll testify to that, whether you forgive me or not." Nenah stood there staring at the woman who'd made her life hell and felt nothing. No rage, no satisfaction, no relief, just emptiness. "I should go," she said. "Wait, there's something else you need to know. I don't want to hear anything else from you. Lily isn't Richard's daughter." The world stopped. "What?" "Lily, she's not his biological child. I had an affair, got pregnant. Richard knew, but he claimed her anyway. For appearances." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because she doesn't know. And when this all comes out in court, when Richard's life falls apart, she's going to need someone. And despite everything, you're her sister, half-sister, whatever, you're blood." "We're not blood." "You just said. You're both daughters of women Richard destroyed. That makes you family in the ways that matter." Nenah laughed, the sound bitter. "You want me to take care of Lily after everything she's done to me? I'm not asking you to take care of her. I'm asking you not to hate her. She's a victim too, of my lies, of Richard's cruelty, of this whole toxic mess. I don't hate Lily. I don't feel anything for her, just like I don't feel anything for you." Nenah walked to the door. "Thank you," Margaret called after her, "for coming, for listening, For not killing me yourself. Nenah paused her hand on the doorknob. You're welcome. And Margaret, I hope the next 6 months are everything you deserve. She left without looking back. Victor was waiting exactly where he said he'd be, pacing the lobby like a caged animal. The moment he saw her, he was at her side. What happened? Are you okay? I'm fine, let's go home. Nenah, please, I'll tell you everything, but not here. Not now, I just want to go home. They drove in silence, Victor's hand covering hers on the armrest. When they finally pulled into the estate, Nenah turned to him. Margaret was jealous. That's why she hated me. She was jealous of my mother. And she spent 25 years taking it out on me. That's insane. That's Margaret. Nenah took a breath. And Lily isn't Richard's daughter. Margaret had an affair. Victor's eyes widened. Does Lily know? No, and it's going to destroy her when she finds out. Do you care? Nenah thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know. Ask me again after the trial. They got out of the car and walked toward the guest house. Halfway there, Nenah stopped. Victor. Yeah. Earlier, when you said you love me, did you mean it? Every word? I think I love you too. I'm not sure. I've never loved anyone before, not like this. But I think this might be what it feels like. Victor's smile was brighter than the sun. That's good enough for me. Yeah. They stood there in the fading afternoon light, two broken people who'd somehow found each other in the wreckage. And for the first time since this nightmare began, Nenah felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. The trial started 6 weeks later. Nenah woke that morning to Victor already dressed, sitting on the edge of her bed. Their bed now, though neither of them had officially acknowledged when she'd stopped sleeping in the guest house and started sleeping beside him. You ready? He asked. No, but I'm going anyway. That's my girl. The courthouse was a circus. News vans lined the street. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed like lightning. Victor's security team formed a wall around Nenah as they pushed through the crowd. She kept her eyes down her hand, gripping Victor's so tight her knuckles went white. Inside, Amanda was waiting with last-minute instructions. Margaret testifies today. You testify tomorrow. Don't react to anything Richard's lawyers say. Don't engage. Just tell the truth and let the jury decide. What if they don't believe me? They will. I've seen the evidence, the journals, the medical records, the testimony. Richard Sterling is going to prison. It's just a matter of for how long. The courtroom was smaller than Nenah expected, more intimate. Richard sat at the defense table in an expensive suit, his lawyers flanking him like guard dogs. When he saw Nenah, his face twisted with rage. She looked away. The judge entered. Everyone stood. The trial began. Margaret was called first. She walked to the stand, slowly leaning on a cane, looking every bit the dying woman she was. Her hair had thinned, her skin was gray. She'd lost at least 30 pounds since Nenah had last seen her. Richard's lead attorney, a shark in a three-piece suit named Bradley Morrison, went on the attack immediately. Mrs. Sterling, isn't it true that you and your husband are currently in divorce proceedings? Yes. And isn't it true that you stand to gain a substantial financial settlement from that divorce? Yes. So you have a financial incentive to testify against him. I have a dying incentive to tell the truth. Morrison's smile was cruel. How convenient that your conscience awakened just as you filed for divorce. Objection, Amanda said, rising. Argumentative. Sustained. Mr. Morrison, ask questions, don't make speeches. Morrison nodded. Mrs. Sterling, you claim you witnessed Richard Sterling push Elena Sterling down the stairs on the night of October 15th, 2005. I witnessed him kick her down the stairs. There's a difference. And yet you said nothing. For 20 years. Why, because I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid he'd kill me too. Did he threaten you? Every day. With his eyes? With his fists? With his voice? Richard Sterling is a violent man who controls people through fear. I know because I lived in that fear for 35 years. And yet you married him. You stayed married to him. You bore him a child. Margaret's expression flickered. I bore him a child, yes, though not the one he thinks. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged his gavel. Order, order in this court. Richard was on his feet shouting, What the hell is she talking about? Morrison grabbed his arm, trying to force him back into his seat. Richard, shut up. Let me handle this. But Richard wasn't listening. He was staring at Margaret with murder in his eyes. What did you just say? He demanded. Margaret met his gaze without flinching. Lily isn't yours. She never was. I had an affair with Thomas, your cousin, the same cousin who covered up Elena's murder. He's Lily's biological father. The courtroom exploded again. Nenah watched it happen like a car crash in slow motion. Richard lunging for Margaret, bailiffs tackling him, Morrison screaming objections, the judge threatening contempt. And in the gallery, Lily sitting frozen, her face drained of all color. Recess, the judge shouted. 1 hour. Get your client under control, Mr. Morrison, or I'm holding him in contempt. The bailiffs dragged Richard out of the courtroom, still shouting obscenities. Nenah found herself moving toward Lily without conscious thought. Don't, Victor warned. She won't want to hear from you. But Nenah kept walking. Lily sat alone on a bench in the hallway, staring at nothing, tears streaming down her face. Lily, her half-sister, no, her not even related sister, looked up. Go away. I'm sorry. For what? For destroying my family, for dragging us all through this hell, for existing. For all of it. For none of it. I don't know. Nenah sat down beside her, keeping distance between them. I know what it's like to have your entire world shattered in a courtroom. To find out everything you believed was a lie. No, you don't. You always knew you were different and you always knew you didn't belong. But me, I thought I was a Sterling. I thought Richard was my father. I thought, Lily's voice broke. I don't know who I am anymore. You're whoever you choose to be, starting now. That's easy for you to say. You have Victor. You have money. You have a new life. What do I have? The truth. It's painful and messy and horrible, but it's yours. Lily laughed bitterly. The truth is that my mother is a liar and a coward. The man I called father is a murderer, and my real father helped cover it up. That's my truth. That's my legacy. Then change it. Be different and be better. Why are you being nice to me after everything I did to you? Because someone once told me that hate is exhausting, and I'm tired of being exhausted. Lily looked at her for a long moment. I was horrible to you. Yes. I'm sorry. I know. Does that change anything? Nenah thought about it. I don't know yet. Ask me again when this is over. They sat in silence until the bailiff called them back to court. The afternoon session was brutal. The prosecution showed photos, medical records, pages from Elena's journal describing Richard's abuse. He grabbed me again tonight, left bruises on my arms. I told Nenah I bumped into a door. She's only 5. She shouldn't have to know her father is a monster. I'm scared. Richard is drinking more, getting angrier. I need to get Nenah out of here, but where would we go? I have no money, no family, no options. I told Richard I wanted child support, legal child support. He said I was trying to extort him, called me names I won't repeat in this journal, threatened to take Nenah away if I made trouble. I don't know what to do. The jury was riveted. Richard sat stone-faced, but Nenah could see the vein pulsing in his temple, the same vein that used to pulse right before he exploded. When court adjourned for the day, Amanda pulled Nenah aside. You're up tomorrow, first thing. Are you ready? As ready as I'll ever be. Morrison's going to come at you hard. He's going to try to paint you as a vindictive daughter looking for revenge. He's going to bring up your relationship with Victor. He's going to imply you're lying for money. I know. Don't let him rattle you. Just tell the truth. Answer the questions. Don't elaborate. And whatever you do, don't get emotional. Don't get emotional while testifying about my mother's murder and 25 years of abuse. Got it. Amanda's expression softened. I know it's impossible, but try. The jury needs to see you as credible, not hysterical. Women are always hysterical when they tell the truth about violence. I know, and it's not fair, but it's reality. So let's work with reality and get you through this. That night, Nenah couldn't sleep. She lay in Victor's arms, staring at the ceiling, running through testimony in her head. Stop thinking, Victor murmured. I can't. You're going to be amazing tomorrow. You don't know that. I do, because I know you, and you're the strongest person I've ever met. I don't feel strong. Strength isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. Nenah turned to face him. When did you get so wise? I've always been this wise. You're just now noticing. She kissed him, trying to lose herself in the feeling, trying to forget about tomorrow. But tomorrow came anyway. Nenah took the stand at 9:15 m, her hands shaking as she placed it on the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. She sat. The jury watched her with curious eyes. Richard watched her with hate. Amanda stood. Please state your name for the record. Nenah Sterling. And what is your relationship to the defendant? He's my biological father. Can you tell the jury about your childhood? Nenah took a breath. I grew up in my father's house, but I wasn't treated like his daughter. I was treated like the help. I had a room smaller than the closets. I wore hand-me-down clothes. I ate meals in the kitchen after the family finished. I was constantly reminded that I was there out of charity, not love. Did your father ever hit you? Yes, many times. Can you describe an incident? When I was 12, I broke a dish. He grabbed me by the hair and slammed my head against the counter. I had a concussion. He told the hospital I'd fallen off my bike. Morrison stood. Objection. This is inflammatory and irrelevant to the charges. It goes to pattern of behavior, Your Honor, Amanda countered. I'll allow it. Continue, Ms. Sterling. Nenah continued. For 2 hours, she laid out her childhood, the abuse, the neglect, the constant message that she was worthless. The jury was horrified. Several were in tears. When Amanda finished, Morrison stood for cross-examination. Miss Sterling, isn't it true that you're currently living with Victor Hale? Yes. And Mr. Hale is a billionaire, correct? I don't know his exact net worth, but he's wealthy, very wealthy. Yes. And he's paying for your legal representation in this case. The district attorney is prosecuting. I don't have legal representation. But Mr. Hale's lawyers helped you file the civil suit against your father for your mother's back wages. Yes. A suit seeking $2 million. Yes. So you stand to gain financially from your father's conviction. I stand to gain justice for my mother's murder. The money is secondary. Is it, or did you see an opportunity to get rich and took it? Objection. Amanda was on her feet. Counsel is testifying, not asking questions. Sustained, rephrased Mr. Morrison. Morrison smiled. Let me ask it this way. How long after you started working for Mr. Hale did this relationship become romantic? Nenah's stomach dropped. That's not relevant. It's very relevant. You're living in his house, sleeping in his bed, benefiting from his wealth. And in return, you're testifying against a man he's publicly feuding with. There's no feud. My father killed my mother. That's not a feud. That's murder. You say your father killed your mother, but you didn't witness it, did you? No, I was 5 years old and asleep. So you have no direct knowledge of what happened that night. I heard the argument. I found her body. I saw my father at the top of the stairs. But you didn't see him push her or kick her. No. So everything you're testifying to is based on what your feelings, your assumptions, your desire for revenge. My testimony is based on 25 years of watching my father terrorize everyone around him, based on my mother's journals, based on the pattern of violence that ended in her death. A pattern of violence you conveniently didn't report until you met a wealthy man who could finance your accusations. I was a child. Who was I supposed to report it to the police? The same police who covered up my mother's murder because Richard's cousin was on the force. Morrison's smile widened. So now you're accusing the police of conspiracy. I'm accusing the people in power of protecting each other, which is exactly what you're doing right now. Your Honor, please instruct the witness to answer questions, not make speeches. Ms. Sterling, the judge said gently, please just answer the questions. Nenah nodded, her hands shaking. Morrison circled. Let's talk about your mother. Elena Sterling was employed as a housekeeper, correct? Yes. And she had an affair with her married employer. She had a relationship with my father. A relationship she used to get pregnant and secure financial support. She got pregnant. He promised to take care of us. That's not manipulation. That's responsibility. Is it, or was she using a child to trap a wealthy man? Objection, Amanda shouted. Victim blaming. Sustained. Mr. Morrison asked questions about the defendant, not the victim. But the damage was done. Morrison had planted the seed. Elena the gold digger, Nenah the vindictive daughter, Victor the wealthy puppet master. The jury's expressions had shifted from sympathetic to skeptical. When Morrison finally finished, Nenah was shaking so hard she could barely stand. She stumbled off the witness stand and into Victor's arms. "You did great," he whispered. "I screwed up. I got emotional. I argued with him. You told the truth. That's all that matters." But Nenah wasn't sure truth mattered anymore. The trial continued for another week. Expert witnesses testified about the medical evidence. Character witnesses described Richard's violence. Margaret testified again, confirming every detail of that night. But Morrison was good. He chipped away at credibility, pointed out inconsistencies, made everything seem questionable. When closing arguments finally came, Nenah couldn't watch. She sat in the hallway, Victor beside her waiting. The jury deliberated for 3 days. 3 days of Nenah pacing. 3 days of Victor trying to reassure her. 3 days of Amanda warning them not to get their hopes up. "Juries are unpredictable," she said. "We have a strong case, but you never know." On the third day at 4:30 p.m., the jury returned. "Have you reached a verdict?" "We have, Your Honor." The forewoman stood. "On the charge of second-degree murder, we find the defendant, Richard Sterling, guilty." The courtroom erupted. Nenah's knees buckled. Victor caught her, holding her upright. "We won," he said. "We actually won." But Nenah couldn't speak, couldn't process, could only watch as Richard was led away in handcuffs, his face twisted with rage, shouting threats that would guarantee additional charges. Lily sat in the gallery crying. Margaret sat beside her, dying and finally free. And Nenah stood there feeling nothing. The numbness lasted for days. Victor threw a party to celebrate, but Nenah couldn't bring herself to feel celebratory. Richard was going to prison for 25 to life. Justice had been served. So why did she feel so hollow? "It's normal," Amanda explained when Nenah called her. "You spent your entire life focused on survival. Now that you're safe, your brain doesn't know what to do." "How long does it last?" "As long as it needs to. Give yourself time to grieve, time to heal, time to figure out who you are without the weight of abuse defining you." But time felt like a luxury Nenah didn't know how to use. She wandered through Victor's estate like a ghost, slept too much or not at all, picked at food without tasting it. Victor tried to help, he really did, but there was only so much another person could do. The breakthrough came 3 weeks after the verdict when Nenah finally visited her mother's grave. She'd avoided it for years, couldn't bear the idea of standing over the woman who'd died trying to protect her. But now, with Richard in prison and Margaret dying and the truth finally told, Nenah felt ready. The cemetery was quiet. The headstone was simple. Elena Sterling, beloved mother, 1965 to 2005. Nenah knelt in the grass and finally let herself cry. Not the panicked sobs of the past months, not the angry tears or the fearful ones, just grief. Pure, clean grief for the woman she'd lost too soon. "I'm sorry it took me so long," she whispered. "I'm sorry I didn't fight harder. I'm sorry I survived when you didn't." The wind rustled through the trees. A bird sang somewhere overhead. "But I did it, Mama. I told the truth. I got you justice, and I'm going to be okay. I promise. I'm going to build a life you'd be proud of." She stayed until the sun set, talking to her mother, telling her about Victor, about the trial, about the future. She was finally allowing herself to imagine. When she finally stood to leave, she felt lighter. Not healed, not fixed, but lighter. Victor was waiting by the car, giving her space but staying close. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm getting there." "Good, because I have something I want to show you." "What is it?" "You'll see." He drove them to a building in downtown Hartford. A beautiful old brick structure with huge windows and high ceilings. "What is this?" Nenah asked. "It's yours, if you want it." "What do you mean, mine?" Victor pulled out a key. "I bought it 3 weeks ago. I've been having it renovated. Come look." They went inside. The space was stunning. Exposed brick, hardwood floors, modern fixtures mixed with original architectural details. "It's gorgeous, but I don't understand." "It's for your business." Nenah blinked. "What business?" "Whatever business you want to start. You told me once you wanted to prove you were worth something. I'm giving you the space to prove it." "Victor, I can't accept this. It's too much." It's not enough. You deserve an entire building, an entire city, the whole damn world. He turned to face her. You're brilliant, Nenah. You're capable. You're talented. And you've spent your entire life being told you're not. I'm tired of watching you diminish yourself. So I'm giving you space, literal space to be as big as you want to be. I don't even know what I want to do. Then figure it out. Use this space to try different things. Host events, start a nonprofit, launch a business. Whatever calls to you, I don't care what you do with it. I just want you to have the freedom to choose. Nenah walked through the space, her mind racing. For the first time in her life, she had options, real options, not survival or safety, but possibilities. I want to help people, she said slowly. People like me, women escaping abuse, girls who grew up being told they were nothing. I want to create a space where they can find themselves, learn skills, build futures. Victor's smile was brilliant. Then do it. I'll help however I can. I can't do this alone. You're not alone. You have me. You have Amanda. You have resources you never had before. He pulled her close. And more importantly, you have yourself. The woman who survived 25 years of hell and came out the other side, still capable of kindness, still capable of hope, still capable of love. I love you, Nenah said. The words came easier this time. I really do. I'm still figuring out what that means and how to do it right. But I love you. I love you too. And we'll figure it out together. They stood in the empty building, holding each other, imagining the future they were going to build. A future neither of them could have predicted 6 months ago. A future that was theirs to create. 2 months later, the Sterling Foundation for Survivors opened its doors. The grand opening was packed. Local news, community leaders, women from shelters, teenagers from group homes. Nenah stood at the podium, her hands shaking, looking out at the crowd. I'm not good at speeches, she began. I'm better at surviving than I am at talking about it. But I want you to know why this place exists. She took a breath. This place exists because I know what it's like to feel worthless, to feel invisible, to feel like your only purpose is to endure. And I also know what it's like to escape, to find someone who sees you, to build a life beyond survival. The audience was silent, listening. The Sterling Foundation is named after my mother, Elena. She died trying to protect me from the man who abused us both. She didn't live to see justice, but her legacy lives on in this space. In every woman who walks through these doors and learns she's worth more than what she's been told. In every girl who discovers her voice. In every survivor who refuses to let abuse define her. Nenah's eyes found Victor in the crowd. He smiled, pride radiating from every pore. I'm not here to save anyone, Nenah continued. I'm here to provide space. Space to heal. Space to grow. Space to become whoever you want to be, because that's what was given to me, and I want to pass it forward. The applause was deafening. After the speeches, after the ribbon cutting, after the tours and the interviews and the congratulations, Nenah found herself alone in the main hall. She looked around at the space she'd created, the classrooms for job training, the counseling rooms, the child care center, the legal clinic, all of it built from pain transformed into purpose. Your mother would be proud. Nenah turned to find Lily standing in the doorway. They hadn't spoken since the trial, hadn't known what to say to each other. What are you doing here? Nenah asked. I saw the news coverage. Wanted to see it for myself. Lily stepped inside, looking around. It's amazing, really. Thank you. I mean it. What you're doing here, it matters. They stood in awkward silence for a moment. Margaret died last week, Lily said finally. Nenah's chest tightened. I heard. I'm sorry. Are you, after everything she did to you? I'm sorry you lost your mother, even if she was complicated. Lily's eyes filled with tears. She left me a letter, apologizing, explaining, trying to make sense of 35 years of lies. She pulled an envelope from her purse. She left one for you too. Nenah took the envelope, her hands shaking. I haven't decided if I'm going to read mine, Lily admitted. I don't know if I want her last words, if I want to forgive her, if I want to remember her as anything other than the woman who destroyed my life. Then don't read it. You don't owe her anything. Not even forgiveness. Do you forgive her? Nenah thought about it. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. Some days I think I do. Some days I'm still furious. Forgiveness isn't linear. No, I guess it's not. Lily moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. For all of it. I was cruel because I was raised by cruel people. That's not an excuse, but it's the truth. I know. Do you think... Lily stopped struggling with the words. Do you think we could ever be friends? Not now, not soon, but someday. Nenah considered. Maybe, if you do the work, if you prove you have changed, if you show me you're different than who you were. That's fair. Lily smiled sadly. Good luck with this place, I mean it. You're going to change lives. After Lily left, Nenah opened Margaret's letter. It was short, just a few lines in that familiar curly script. Nenah, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that watching you build this foundation, watching you choose kindness, despite everything, has shown me what strength really looks like. You are not your father's daughter. You are your mother's legacy. And that legacy is beautiful. I'm sorry I couldn't see it sooner. I'm sorry I wasted so much time on hate when I could have chosen love. Don't make my mistake. Choose love. Always. Margaret. Nenah folded the letter and put it in her pocket. She didn't know if she'd keep it or burn it. Didn't know if those words meant anything or changed anything. But she knew one thing for certain. Margaret was right about one thing. Choose love. Always. That evening, Victor found Nenah in their bedroom, staring out the window at the city lights. Big day, he said, wrapping his arms around her from behind, and the biggest. How do you feel? Terrified, excited, proud, overwhelmed, all of it at once. That sounds about right. Victor kissed her temple. You know what I realized today? What? 6 months ago, you called me from your father's study, broken and scared, asking if I could come get you. And today you opened a foundation that's going to help hundreds of women make that same call. That's the definition of transformation. Nenah turned to face him. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. It would have taken longer and been harder. But you would have found your way. You're a survivor, Nenah. You always have been. I don't want to just survive anymore. I want to live. Then live. We'll do it together. They stood there holding each other, watching the city light up the night, and Nenah realized something profound. For the first time in her 25 years, she wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop, wasn't bracing for the next blow, wasn't preparing to endure. She was just existing, peacefully, happily, freely. The girl who'd once been invisible had found her voice. The girl who'd once been worthless had found her worth. The girl who'd once been trapped had found her freedom. And the woman she'd become was just getting started. 3 years later, the Sterling Foundation had expanded to 5 locations across 3 states. Nenah had testified before Congress about domestic violence legislation. Her story had been featured in national magazines, but the moment that mattered most happened on a quiet Tuesday afternoon when a 17-year-old girl walked into the Hartford location terrified and alone, asking for help. Nenah sat with her in the intake room, holding her hand, listening to her story. A story that sounded painfully familiar. When the girl finished, tears streaming down her face, she looked at Nenah with desperate eyes. Can you help me? Nenah smiled. Yes, we can help you. And more than that, we can help you help yourself. Because you're stronger than you know. You're more capable than anyone's ever told you. And you deserve a life beyond what you've been given. The girl's shoulders shook with relief. I don't even know where to start. That's okay. I didn't either. But someone gave me space to figure it out. And now I'm giving you that same space. We'll figure it out together. As Nenah walked the girl through intake, explaining the programs, the resources, the possibilities, she felt her mother's presence. Elena hadn't lived to see this, hadn't lived to see her daughter transform pain into purpose. But Nenah knew somehow that her mother could see it now. And she was proud. That night, Nenah came home to find Victor in the kitchen cooking dinner, their rescue dog sleeping at his feet. How was your day? He asked. We got a new intake. 17. Reminds me of myself at that age. You're going to change her life. We're going to give her the tools to change her own life. There's a difference. Victor smiled. There's my brilliant, empowering wife. Wife. They'd gotten married 6 months ago in a small ceremony with just Amanda Victor's small circle of friends and a handful of women from the foundation. Nenah wore a simple white dress. Victor cried through his vows, and for the first time in her life, Nenah felt like she belonged somewhere. Not because someone allowed her to be there, but because she chose to be there. And that choice made all the difference. As they sat down to dinner, Victor's phone buzzed with a news alert. Richard's parole hearing was denied, he said, reading the screen. Nenah took a breath. She thought she'd feel something: relief, satisfaction, vindication. Instead, she felt nothing. Richard Sterling was her past, a chapter that was closed and buried. Her present was sitting across from her, asking about her day. Her future was waiting in foundation classrooms, in women finding their voices, in lives transformed. Good, she said simply. Then, pass the salt. And just like that, Richard Sterling became irrelevant. A footnote in a story that was no longer about him. A story that was about a girl who refused to stay broken. A girl who called for help and found not just rescue, but resurrection. A girl who learned that the strongest thing you can do is not survive, but choose every single day to truly live. Nenah Sterling had made that choice, and she was never looking back.